GBTA Studios here just outside of Washington, D.C., and I'm here with Alison Taylor, Senior Vice President of Global Sales for American Airlines. Alison, welcome.
How are you, Mike?
Great to have you here in the studio.
Thank you. Great to be here.
And interesting times, as always, in the industry. You're out talking with customers all the time and getting their perspectives and feedback, not just about American, but just, I think, in general about the industry. What are you hearing from them about travel trends and what's on their minds?
Yeah, I really think for travel trends, we're really seeing that they just want it to be easy when their customers are traveling. They want to make sure they're being looked after on the road. So I do think duty of care is always coming up as one of the number one. It's not price. It's not a network. It's really just about are they being cared for on their journey as they travel, because it's important for acquisition of great new team members. Of course, as we were mentioning today, very often people are asking in that interview, okay, tell me about your travel policy. So it's a retention tool, it can be an acquisition tool, but it's really about people caring for their travellers, and that is coming up more and more. They also want to know that we're very responsible in the way we do business. That's where having the new airplanes really helps us because of our carbon emissions, etc. We're using less refined oil, and so these things are also increasingly important, even globally. It's not just in North America or the Western world, and also they can be truly global. And so we're doing a lot of work with One World and also, of course, our joint business partners like British Airways and JAL to be truly global, because people require that of us. They need you to be there for them in Africa as well as DC. And we've just saw customers today that really stress that as well. And of course now making sure that they can be on the road and still working in comfort, so the Wi-Fi, making sure there's power, and that doesn't matter if you're at a hotel or in your rental car or even in the airplane. That is, of course, I think we all realise that, and of course making sure they've got apps on the road so they can make quick changes, check where they're meant to be and at what time. Everyone wants to be able to do that on their mobile, and so making sure we're facilitating that, and we've just, of course, launched all of those in the last 2 years as well, which really helps people as well. But also, I really think this caring has come to the forefront, and I think that's great to see, and that's great for travel.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about putting the care and duty of care, right? No. But you're right. It goes beyond just the tools and just pushing them out to travelers. But really, the buyers are in a position now where they really have to be thoughtful about how they're doing that, how it's being delivered to their customers, their travelers, right, and therefore yours. And if you're going to have that kind of relationship with them, partnership with them, you have to be, really plan and be ingrained with them in the process.
And they don't want to be, and I know you get this, Mike, but they don't want to be mandated to. They don't want an airline saying you must book this way or we're not doing business with you. That's not in our world.
It's the old school.
Yeah, that's right. We really want to be there for people no matter how they wish to book. If they wish to book through their Team C, isn't that fabulous? That's great. Through the GDS, that's great. To AA.com, that's good too. So we need to make sure that we're there in all, and as you know, we're sort of fairly streets ahead when it comes to new distribution capabilities, and that's really just about connecting people the way they want to do business with us. We don't want to be mandating to our travellers. It's quite the reverse.
Right. Yeah, and I think for the corporation and certainly for the buyers, for them, they want to be in a position, we hear this all the time, of just understanding, like having the data, understanding across the whole spectrum where the travelers are booking, how they're booking, patterns, again, and still being in control, because ultimately they're paying the bill. But to your point about that flexibility, because I think the industry's come a long way in understanding too that being so-called out of policy isn't necessarily a bad thing. It means that somebody's trying to make a good business decision on behalf of their company and maybe has to do something that hasn't been conceived, or a new pattern that's emerging, right? And it's important for them to be able to have the flexibility and make those decisions.
And we want to be there for them no matter what their travel policy is, and make sure that we can do bundles or not. And that's where NDC comes in handy so much. But something else we're also doing, and it really was at a request of the customers, is we've now just launched our corporate portals, and they can see exactly how they're going. If they have complete compliance, they can see that, they can toggle it, they can do what-if scenarios as well. and they can see exactly where their travellers are going, whether or not we're also compliant with contracts, etc.
Right.
And I think that just makes it so much easier for the travel manager as well, because no one wants to wait to a quarterly review to find out how you're going, right? So this really helps, I think, compliance for them, and also for them to go to their powers that be in their company to say, look, this is the value I'm bringing to the company for the travel program, because this is how much I'm saving the company. And I think arming the travel managers with those types of data is very important. Because of course they have to justify as well what they're bringing besides a great travel experience.
And driving value for the spend.
You bet. Yep.
So every once in a while in the industry, unfortunately, tragically, you know, that something happens. You have, you know, called black swan event, you know, which happened with the crashes of Lion Air and Ethiopian Air. And then the net result is that, you know, an aircraft that American certainly was beginning to really integrate into the fleet and you know, is on the ground. What does that mean? Like, how do you manage through that as an organization?
You know, our pilots, I think, are the ones that are at the forefront of this and really understand what it means to say whether or not the airplane is safe. And they truly all believe, as you may have seen, all the American Airlines pilots, that it's very safe to fly the MAX. Now, we have only 24 MAXs. It's less than 2% of our planes, so it's not a big part of it. But of course, we want everyone to feel comfortable as they travel. Now, of course, when they were grounded, we comply immediately to that, but we're also working very closely with Boeing on making sure that there's education and continuing understanding for the consumer, because it's really more about that, because the pilots truly believe, and we have a fabulous Captain Alan Johnson, who was just recently at one of our large corporate events, and he talked at length as to all the great training that North America requires of their pilots. And really, I think it just put everyone at ease. And at no point did we ever have, with our 24 MAXs, at any point, even once, have it go into what then happened with Lion Air and Ethiopian Air. But if in the chance it ever had, our pilots are very well trained on that. Now, of course, there continues to be more training. You'll see that come out. But we actually feel that those MAXs are safe to fly. And it's our pilots who fly them even say that they'd put their own families on the MAX. And I think that says everything.
It does, right?
But with abundance of caution, we understand.
Well, and I think, you know, we saw it as the process unfolded in a relatively short period of time. Certainly the media was very actively covering it. We were all, you know, in the same place of you know, hearing about things and finding information. I know you did, and other leaders in the industry were good about really trying to get, as best you could, communication out with your customer base and with your network.
We had our captains actually do conference calls with our travel managers. And that really helped them understand, because actually we utilised the MAXs mainly through Miami. They really weren't affecting the corporate customer at all.
Not yet.
etc. And so we'll find that I think this is just a journey, but it's a journey of education.
So when you look ahead for American Airlines, what are you most excited about? If you name one or two things, what you?
I really think that what we're doing with NDC is so exciting, and we're at the forefront of that. You know, we have you know, industry leaders like Corey Gardner, who are called on constantly on panels and industry speaking, and we have thousands of customers now connected through NDC, and they can just see that it helps them. If they want to mandate their corporate travel, they can do that through NDC with a bundle, and it actually helps that compliance as well. You can see others that don't need compliance or don't require that for their travel. It can help with that as well. It can be what you need. And so for us, NDC and some of our distribution strategies that we have coming out are really forward-thinking.
Yeah, I think I said, you know, for convention this year in Chicago, one of the certainly big hot topics that's emerging is NDC, because I think, you know, again, it's arrived in terms of not just concept and debate, but really, you know, we're at the implementation stage. one of the things you said earlier now, I think is important that from a buyer perspective, they do want choice. They don't want to be forced into a pathway.
Exactly.
Others have taken, more of a position of trying to drive a compliance rather than really just create an environment where compliance is a great outcome.
Right.
And I think that's that strategy I think is wise for the industry.
There's many ways to get to an outcome or an objective that you want, and we don't believe in mandating to our customers. We just want to listen to them, and they've been saying loud and clear that they'll come along on this journey, but they'll do it their way and they'll book how they wish to book, and we believe in that too.
So final question, personal note.
Yes.
Gotta always ask. Been in the industry a long time with Starwood and now with American. What's your favorite part about business travel?
I would have to say the people you meet that still remain friends. I think this is a wonderful industry, and we get to become friends in great locations, whether that's DC or Prague. I have to go to Prague twice for work in the next month. Poor me.
Right.
That's great. Part of our industry, though, isn't it?
You still find it amazing. I do that when you wake up and you're there in another part of the world where you go, it's still to this day.
Still fresh for me.
It's like a miracle, right?
Oh,
it's still amazing.
Still fresh for me. I don't get tired of it. Of course, there's times where you would like a bit less of your business job. We all understand. But I think for me, it's all about that. And for our customers, we now offer great discounts through AA Vacations for their leisure programs, even within some of the corporate traveller. And that's really lovely to see as well. Everyone wants something to look forward to as well. So, but I enjoy every step of the way. And this summer we're flying to Prague and Budapest and Venice and
I
Bologna,
at some point,
and we all look forward to that. Yeah.
Well, always a pleasure, Alison.
Thank you,
Thank
Mike.
you for stopping by the studio.
It's a pleasure.
And I'm Mike McCormick here at GBTA Studios, live just outside of Washington, D.C.